Hey everyone. It is often stated that the ancient Egyptians were ardent animal lovers. This is based on a number of factors such as animal-headed deities and the number of mummified animals discovered in the archaeological record. Even pets, which included cats, dogs and monkeys, did not live the pampered lifestyle of modern pets but were considered a useful addition to the household. Today, let's know, why did the ancient Egyptians worship cats and crocodiles? Let's start the video, but before that, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Cats were homed in order to keep rats, mice and snakes away from the home and the grain storage, and dogs were used to aid with the hunting of small prey in the desert and the marshes. Even cats are depicted on hunting expeditions in the marshes where it is thought they were used to flush out the birds from the reeds. Whilst pets did have a practical function, there is enough evidence to show some were also greatly loved. For example, in the tomb of Ipuri from Deir el-Medina, a pet cat is depicted wearing a silver earring which was more valuable than gold at that time, and one of her kittens was playing with the sleeve of its owner's tunic. Despite obvious affection between some owners and their pets, only one cat name is known from the archaeological record: the Pleasant One. Most cats were simply called Mew, which was the ancient Egyptian word for cat. The confusion comes about when considering the ancient Egyptian goddess Bastet, the cat goddess, which has led some to believe the Egyptians worshipped all cats. This is not the case. The domestic house cat was not worshipped any more than they are today. To understand this disparity, we need to look at the nature of the gods. Many Egyptian deities were represented at times with animal heads or completely in animal form. For example, Khepri was sometimes presented with a beetle for a head, Bastet with a cat head, Sekhmet with a lioness head, Hathor with a cow's head or simply cow's ears, and Horus with a falcon head. However, they were all also presented at other times in full human form. When a deity was depicted with the head of an animal, this represented that they were displaying the characteristics or behavior of that animal at that time. So, for example, Khepri with his beetle head represents the sun at dawn. This is based on the observation of the dung beetle. The beetle lays its eggs in a ball of dung, which would then roll along the ground. Eventually, the freshly hatched beetles emerged from the dung. This action was likened to the sun emerging over the horizon at dawn, and from it, all new life emerged. So, through observations of nature, certain characteristics were attributed to the gods, and this was represented by the image of the animal. There were few taboos on treatment or slaughter of the animals connected with the gods. As a parallel, in modern India, the cow is worshipped and the nation as a whole do not eat beef. In ancient Egypt, however, although the cow was sacred to Hathor, it did not mean the goddess was present in every cow, and therefore beef was eaten by whoever could afford it. As millions of animal mummies have been discovered of cats, crocodiles and ibis, it has led to the misconception that they were a nation of animal lovers mummifying their deceased pets. To understand the relationship between the gods and the animals, let's turn to the cults of Sobek and Bastet. Sobek, the crocodile god, was a son of the goddess Neith, a symbol of the king's power and might, a water and fertility deity, and later a primordial and creator god. The Nile crocodile lived in abundance within the Egyptian Nile and can grow up to 6 meters in length. Even in the modern world, they are responsible for more human deaths on the Nile than any other creature. As the ancient Egyptians relied on the Nile for water, food, transportation, and laundry, crocodiles were a very real threat, and part of the worship of Sobek was born out of self-preservation. Sobek was worshipped from the pre-dynastic period, and there were numerous shrines around Egypt dedicated to Sobek, although predominantly located in the Fayum, with the main temple at Kom Ombo situated between Aswan and Edfu in the south of Egypt. There is plenty of evidence from the New Kingdom onwards indicating that crocodiles were specifically bred within the temples. At Kom Ombo, for example, there was a small lake where crocodiles were bred. These crocodiles were not, however, bred with the purpose of leading pampered lives, but for slaughter, so they could be mummified and presented to the god as votive offerings. Thousands of crocodile mummies have been discovered in special cemeteries at Teptunis, Hawara, Lahun, Thebes and Medinet Nahas, which include adult and juvenile crocodile as well as unhatched eggs. Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BC, records that people at Lake Moeris in the Fayum fed the crocodiles raised there and adorned them with bracelets and earrings as a means of honoring Sobek. The reverence of the Nile crocodile would not have extended to wild ones along the riverbank, and there would be no taboo about killing one, and there are tomb images of fishermen killing hippopotami, which is associated with the goddess Taweret, and crocodiles. Once the temple crocodiles died or were slaughtered, they were mummified and buried in clay coffins. Some of these can still be viewed in the chapel of Hathor at Kom Ombo. Crocodiles were not the only animal mummies given as votive offerings to the gods. Thousands of cat mummies with intricate designs in the bandages have been found at cemeteries at Bubastis and Saqqara. These were dedicated to the cat goddess Bastet. In the context of Egyptian history, the cult of Bastet was relatively new, dating to approximately 1000 BCE. Her cult developed from that of the lioness goddess Sekhmet, although her iconography is far older. Bastet is a daughter of the sun god Ra and is a peaceful, benign version of the lioness Sekhmet. Bastet is often shown with kittens as her main role is as protective as a mother. When Herodotus was in Egypt, he commented that hundreds of thousands of pilgrims came to the site to pay their respects to the goddess. He also stated that at this time, people would also take the remains of their own cats to be dedicated to the goddess, whilst going through a traditional mourning period which included shaving their eyebrows. This was certainly not a traditional practice for cat owners in the earlier years of Egyptian history. Pilgrims to the cult center of Bastet dedicated a cat mummy to the goddess with the hope she would answer their prayers. Many of the cat mummies contain the remains of very young kittens who were strangled or had their necks broken. They were clearly bred for slaughter to provide the mummies for the pilgrims. A number of the mummies, however, show that they were not the remains of full cats, but a combination of packing material and a cat body parts molded into the shape of a mummy. On one hand, the animals were revered for their characteristics and behavior, which was considered admirable and associated with the deity. However, on the other hand, slaughtering kittens and removing crocodile eggs for sale shows a very practical approach to the animal kingdom. There are clearly two approaches to the animal world, the religious and the domestic approach. People who cared for animals in the home environment possibly cared for their animals as much as we do today, even though they also served a practical purpose. However, the religious approach is twofold. The characteristics of certain animals were revered and admired, but the innumerable animals raised for the votive cult were not revered and viewed simply as a commodity. Well, that's it for today. I hope you're liking Nerdies discoveries. Can't wait for the next video to learn more and be fascinated about. See you on the next. Bye.